everybody, we are here, of course, at the boat, and what we're doing here, you see this big piece of shark fin here? Well, if you work that top, lever tells you that you're flexing these sides. If you work that top hard enough, and I don't plan on doing that, and I don't plan on anything ever doing that, but the thing is, this here is just 1/4 inch plywood with no cross support built in. See, like I built in with all this stuff. See, all this is all framed in and crossed and everything everywhere, so you can't buckle it without under normal or ugly conditions. Let's say that. So, but there's nothing inside here. So what we're doing, we're cutting a piece of plywood and we're putting it in the side here. Do you see this inside? See, we're coming from the boat and going inside here, and we're putting it on the side. Well, we've already cut the one here to epoxy. We're just going to epoxy it on the inside here to give it a little extra beef, so it doesn't want to flex so much, and give it because that's 3/8 plywood plus a 1/4, so we got 5/8, more than a 1/2 inch of plywood there. And we're going to put the same thing on this. We made this one here for this side, and then we just took it over here because it's the mirror image, and it fits just fine too. You can see everything fits nicely. So we are going to go to town. Well, we're going to cut one more of these, and then we're going to epoxy everything into there. And we got to cut some wedges, some wood that go across here that we push in there, and it pushes against the side and pushes this against the side to ooze the epoxy air bubbles. I guess I would really be oozing out, not epoxy, but ooze the air out and make sure that's a good, real solid contact with the sides there. So we are going to cut one more of these, and we'll be back with more. Here, we can take this out. Oh, okay. Okay, come on down here and look at it. So she's gonna, the mole here, the only person that can fit inside of here, can tell me how good of a job we're doing. So, yeah. That look good?
Yeah.
And you can reach the back?
Yes.
And does it go, how far does it go? Does it go to where all the bolts come through, where the
bolts from
shark
this
fin?
shark fin, yeah.
It goes all the way past the end.
There's past like that.
Past that far. Okay, that's good. Okay, so yeah, so basically we're going from right around in here all the way about 2 inches past the shark fin. And that's as much as we can do. We can't epoxy here because we can't reach it with our hands. So there's no way to put epoxy on there. So anyway, we're going to do the other side. And then we're also going to maybe do these. But these don't have shark fins on the front, so they're not really going to get the flexing. Well, that covers on. That covers on. I'd show you what's inside of there. They're taller. We've got these crossbeam supports much more closer. We've got double plywood on top of here. And we should have 2x4 mahogany inside of there to attach that cleat to for sure, going all the way from here to there. I don't know if we have 3. See, here we got 3 solid. 1, 2, 3. So this part here is armor plated. We got 5/8 plywood, plus we have the cap that goes on top of here. So you can see we doubled up on the plywood. See right here. So this is 1/4 inch. No, this is 3/8 inch. This is 3/8 inch here. So we may have 3/8 and 3/8. We may have 3/4 here. I think we do. I think we have 3/4 on this one, maybe. No, we got 1/4 going to somewhere, but that nose, the tip of the bow there, that's definitely 3/8. But I don't know where it transitions to 1/4. If it does, I'm pretty sure it does. So anyway, we will be back with more from my Paradise on Italian Island. You see the throttle and everything? Steering right here. That blue tube doesn't necessarily go on the throttle, on the steering arm, but I just put it there so we don't scratch that. There's the engine in there, the yellow thingy. So anyway, Paradise stiffening the front so that shark fin don't buckle it. Paradise. Well, we're still at the front of the boat here. We're still doing the stiffening or strengthening. See, we got the wood here on this side and the wood here on this side, and then we manufactured or cut all these little pieces to wedge the wood up against the side so that it pushes the epoxy in and holds the plywood up next to the outer plywood of the boat. So you can see all of these guys. We just wedge these little cocoa wood things in there, and then that jams it and pushes the epoxy and everything, gets all the air bubbles out, or as many as we can. So I think we're good. We tested it and it looks like it's working. I think that front one, you're setting it on the bottom, you'll wind up epoxying that to the bottom of the boat if you do that. Of course, we're still working on putting the side panels in there to strengthen and beef up that front bow. And here they are. So we've cut them. They fit perfect. They just slide right in and go into, there's like a little frame of wood, obviously, around them, and they just slide right into the side there really nicely. But what we did, or however you want to say it, we put on epoxy primer. This is on the part of the wood that is going to be on the inside, so that's exposed to water and wetness and stuff like that. So we put this on here, and water, honey, that brush.
Tubig kuya, di pwede? No, it's not.
Yeah, honey, we just washed it off of our hands with water.
It's not, it's a little hard.
Okay. Okay, so anyway, this is epoxy, and it's two-part. You know, it's got a catalyst and a whatever other part that is. But it dries pretty, I mean, if you put it on thick, it'll dry to a thick layer of epoxy primer on there, and that's what we did. We slathered it on pretty thick, put it on the edges here, and even a little bit under the edge on the back side there, because any water that does get in there that there's no epoxy, it'll try to run down in there and then get wet from the inside out. So we may epoxy primer the other side, but I don't know how well epoxy sticks to epoxy primer. And we're trying to make this stick good, but the other factor we have is we got paint. We got enamel paint in there, and epoxy will stick to paint, but paint doesn't really glue itself or penetrate wood like that. You can chip off paint easily, but you can't chip off epoxy. But the epoxy sticks to the paint, but the paint doesn't stick to the wood that is painted over. So I don't know if I'm going to epoxy primer both sides. I kind of want to, just to have that water protection resistant blockage, that water blocking layer on there. And it dries quick because it's a catalyst and stuff. It doesn't take like enamel. If you put it on this thick, I take like in the sun maybe 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, maybe a week to dry. And but because it's catalyst and just like epoxy, a couple hours, and it's you know, dry, self drying, activating, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, we're gonna let this dry, and we'll be back with more from my Paradise on Italian Island. Paradise out. Let me see. Let's get out of the front of the boat where we're actually putting these things into. Hey everybody, Paradise out. We're slathering the epoxy on. I've got this side panel here done. We got one more to do, but this epoxy is drying fast, so we've got to get it. We're getting it in here. We're almost done in here. See? All the epoxy. We got to stick that panel on the side for the extra strength. So anyway, I got to get busy. Epoxy drying. My hands are covered with epoxy. Paradise. Hey everybody. Out. Looks like we got one side in here. See how that? It's all blocked up and pushed in and stuff. Tomorrow we'll do this side. Tomorrow we'll do this side because we can only do one side at a time. We thought we'd have more time to do it, that the epoxy wouldn't dry so fast, but it it doesn't dry, but it gets so thick that it's hard to really do a good job of pushing the two epoxies together, because we put epoxy on both sides and then we squeeze them, so that the epoxy blends between the two. And if it gets hard enough or gummy enough, it's hard to get them to squeeze together. So anyway, you can see that all the wood, cocoa wood we cut to make little squeezers to get them in there. So looks like it worked. We got to do this side tomorrow, and then you can see we'll be 3/4 of an inch, almost 3/4 of an inch thick on the sides. I say 5/8. 6/8 is 3/4. So another 1/8 inch and we'd be 3/4. So that should be heavy duty enough. I mean, I feel much more comfortable like that. So anyway, we got one more to install tomorrow, that one there. And again, we put the epoxy on this side here because this is the side the epoxy will absorb into the wood. We was going to put the epoxy primer on there, but I don't know that epoxy will do any penetration here. It's just it's like a mechanical bond, not so much of a, well, it's not a real chemical bond. But you get the thing where it absorbs into it and it's locked into the wood. This, it just lays on the surface and kind of sticks to it. So I think we're good to go. And again, you can kind of see in there, we got her all jammed up. And tomorrow we'll do side 2. Took up more than half of took about 1 liter. This is 1/2 gallon. This is 1 liter and so basically 2 quarts. It took about half of each one of these to do that. So tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have enough of this. If not, I got 2 more, 1 more set of 1 liter or 1/2 gallon jug. So we'll do that tomorrow, and we'll be back with more from my paradise on Battalion Island. Yeah, baby, we're making her tougher. All right, what we just did is fill in all the gaps along the edges. See that epoxy yellow line there all around the bottom? Fill that in. All this here, up here between these boards, we filled in the holes there so nothing tries to make it a home. All along the edge there, all the way as far as we can, go. We filled everything in. So we are done with the reinforcing the front sides. The other thing we're probably going to do is reinforce the back sides. All right, we're going to do the same thing to the back of the boat here, because this is 1/4 inch. And I found out this is not Santa Clara plywood. It is marine, but it's a cheaper brand. And so this whole boat, except for what I added, was all Santa Clara, and this is all Santa Clara. But again, we got the big shark fin that if you start whacking it for whatever crazy reason, it's just going to buckle. This thin stuff here, this is going to come this way, and this is going to crack, and under or that way, and that's going to crack. So what we've done, you can see we've got some cross bracing here, and then back here is just the empty kind of void area. There we go. Yeah, back there. So we're putting wood back here, and we're putting a piece of wood here because we couldn't get a piece of wood through this hole here. See this hole? It's too small to put the one whole piece there. So we had to cut it in half and do from here forward, or from here to the back, and then the triangle here, and then the straight bottom here. So that's what we've done. This is basically it. This is the straight bottom. This is straight bottom, triangle, and rear of the boat. And what we did, we made one over there that fit that side, and we took it and put it in this side because it's just the mirror image. It fit almost perfectly. I think I gotta make a little notch here, cut about 1/8 of an inch off of this one, and this will fit perfectly, and that's it. So there's 2 patterns, and we basically killed 2 birds with 1 stone. So now we've got to epoxy primer all of this before we put it on there So we got to get to town, epoxy primer, and we'll be back with more. You'll see us put the puzzle pieces into here coming up. Paradise. Hey everybody, as you can see, it is dark, midnight, not midnight, 7 p.m. But we stayed and epoxy primered all of our little pieces for the back of the boat so that tomorrow we can epoxy them in, because epoxy primer will dry in about 4 to 6 hours. Pretty hard, unless you put on like really slathering on thick. We haven't been using enough of this hardener here, I don't think, because we got a little bit of hardener left and no paint, so we could have been using more hardener. So anyway, we got all these painted. We're just painting them on one side, just like the front, and then we slather epoxy all over the back and stick it to the side of the boat. And the boat gets epoxy on it, and the two epoxies get squished like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you've ever made one of those, you know how to do this. Paradise out. All right, everybody. I know this boat in the video looks nice and white, and it is pretty much on the outside. A little bit of, we spray painted these with some acrylic paint, not enam, almost so, just to cover up the epoxy so the sun didn't burn it. And now we're cleaning the inside, not with soap and that, just with water, so that it, honey, did you scrub all that?
Yeah, I did.
And these corners? That's as good as it gets? Where's the brush? Where's the brush? Hey, y'all, look what we got. Things strung up from over there to over there, and they're on strings and hanging vertically. Why would anybody do that? Well, we did that so we could paint them. And paint all the sides, all 4 sides and both ends, without having a side we didn't paint. Over here, though, these are so heavy, we didn't do that with these, but we did lay them on here, so only this rounded edge right here is where the paint didn't really get. It actually did get, but it's probably going to stick to there, and we're going to have to just do a little touch-up paint where they're setting on these pipes here. But it's not a flat surface, it's round, so there's just a little pinpoint area at the high rise of the pipe. So we got all these painted. These are cross beam braces. Okay, these short ones go on the outside between the holes here. Actually, one stops here and goes over to there and is bolted to there. And then these long ones, they go all the way through. They go all the way from inside there through here, across from this one. This one butts up against that one, but this long beam continues on and into the center of that. And then another one on the other side doing the same thing. So they were just nasty. We never had painted them since we epoxied them, and they were just dirty and funky looking. The other thing we did was we painted the inside so far. That's what and so that's all painted now. We're using quick dry enamel, Island brand. Oh man, a lizard got stuck in there. A goofy lizard got in our paint. Now he's permanently our mascot. That's our mascot now, the lizard. And the paint. Idiot. I was worried about leaves, but I didn't think we'd have a problem with lizards jumping into the painted area. So we're going to have to get some tweezers or little chopstick-like things and pick him up and toss him out at some point. And hopefully he didn't mess up the paint too much. But anyway, so the inside painted. The cross beams are all painted. We may put a second coat on these. I don't know. We'll see how good it looks when it dries. But I'd like to get a second coat just as a extra protection, you know, because they're in the water, they're in the sun, they're in the elements constantly. And I'd rather they be sealed completely against all elements. And another layer wouldn't hurt. Would help accomplish that. So anyway, we will be back with more from my paradise on Bentayan Island. Paradise. Alrighty, everybody. You can see we got the epoxy out, got the lids off. We got the non-sag again, non-sag epoxy here, because we're going to put it on the sides of this, on the sides here. And if you don't get the non-sag, it starts running down. And then you get a big blob here and you get nothing up here. So the non-sag sticks pretty good. Pretty good, not perfect, but pretty good. But we got to put back here on the sides, both sides over here too. I just flipped the camera upside down. We got to put in this V, and this little rectangle, and the same on this side. This V, and this rectangle. We're going to stick them, epoxy them to the sides. And those are the pieces there. Here's the pieces here too. We got, this is the rectangle I talked about. This is one of the triangles. The other one's in there, so I can see how far back I have to go. Its length is the depth I need to go. And this is the side piece at the back here, the part that you can't really see. So we're going to put this side and that side on at the back first. And then we're going to work on these little Z's and rectangles and see how timing works and if we can get them all done. So we better get mixing epoxy, and we'll be back with more in my Paradise on Bentayan Island. Paradise. Oh, we painted the inside of that hole and all the cross beams too. I think you saw that. So Paradise. Hey everybody. Well, we got these side panels in here. Most of them. We're out of time, and this one here we got to cut a little bit. It's oversized because the ooze from the epoxy there pushed it this way and made it too big. So we got to trim it tomorrow, but it's kind of late in the day. We got the ones at the back here all done. You see, they're all in and blocked in and wedged in to push them to the outside to make that epoxy come together like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, as I may have mentioned before. And we also painted all of our cross beams here. Cross beams, we gave them a fresh paint job. We gave the interior inside of this here a fresh paint job. We caught a little lizard in there, but we rescued him with a putty knife and got him out of there. So we got a white lizard somewhere around here with the enamel paint on him. So anyway, that's what we got done today. All these painted, the interior of that painted, and most of this done. We got to put the rectangular one down there at the bottom, and we got to trim this triangular one and make it fit again. So we are cleaning up our mess, and we will be back with more. Hey y'all. My Paradise. Well, we painted the inside of the boat yesterday, and we put the first coat on all of our crossbeam supports yesterday. And today we painted the outside of the boat. And I wish we was in a clean room because you do get a few little leaves and stuff. And yesterday a lizard jumped in there and got stuck in the paint. But we got him out. We rescued him. But anyway, we painted the engine cover. This is the top engine cover, and this is the front. I had already sprayed these with just some acrylic spray paint, but I wanted to put the enamel on there. I don't know which is really better paint, the acrylic in a spray can that you just buy at, any hardware store or wherever, or the enamel. So if you guys know, let me know. But it's got a nice, you can see the nice gloss to it. I always try to put it on thick if I can, just to give it like a gel coat look, which is what I'm trying to do to everything here. Put it on really thick, and it needs it too, because all this stuff's just going to be in the ocean and the sun. And those two things just wipe out stuff. So anyway, we got everything painted here. We're going to paint the inside of this one probably tomorrow. Honey, is that what? And how about the outside? Tomorrow too, or no? Tomorrow too. Okay. So we'll paint inside now, and then that one, the outer hole.
I don't think so, because birthday job, I think we go home early because we use the car.
So this one, when? Friday?
Friday.
Okay, so that one Friday. Okay, so today is Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday.
Thursday and Friday.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so anyway, tomorrow and the next day. So we have got our surfboards up there. Okay, it's not really surfboards, but we got some shade and protection from stuff, leaves falling in it and dirt falling in it as best we could, and a little bit of shade protection here. But it's good to leave it all open like this because it'll dry faster. This enamel dried almost overnight. It was pretty close to dry. I wouldn't. The thing about it, if this is what you think is dry, and you put this inside of here, and then you bolt it, and it's not dry, not really 120% dry. The wetness of the paint will glue these two boards together, and you can't get them out. Once they're in like that, they're stuck. And so the only way to get them out is to cut it. So I have to be sure these are 120% dry before I start using them, sliding them in and out, and bolting things up and stuff. So we're going away for 3 days starting Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. My brother-in-law rides bikes, and he enters races and stuff. And the Battalion Island, which is the island that I live on, or we live on, is where the next race is. So he and his team, there's 9 bicyclers, and they're all coming, or we're all going to Battalion Island for the race, and they're all going to stay at my house. So we will have a house load of bikers, and there'll be some, I think, bringing their wives and kids. So who knows how many people we're going to have, maybe 20 people all totaled in my house. But I've got a big house. I don't have a big house. I rent a big house. So anyway, we will be back. And so anyway, the point of painting all this now is while we're gone for the 3 days, the paint can dry. That's our hope. That was what I was working towards. So anyway, we're going to put our surfboards up there. If we ever get surfboards, we'll hang them underneath there. We'll put little hangers and just slide them in from the back and go. There is surfing in the Philippines on Luzon Island on the east side, and in Sargao, which is Mindanao northeast corner. There's surfing, so we could go surfing. We lived in San Diego, California, so we went surfing there. My wife and I both. We had surfboards and wetsuits because it is cold. So anyway, enough of that. We are wrapping it up for the day. And we can't wrap that one because it's all wet. This one we can cover. That one we can cover. So that's just open air for now. And hopefully kids don't decide to touch it. There's a chicken. Is that dead?
Yeah.
Oh, how'd he die? Fighting? I don't know. It's a mystery. My wife didn't translate for me, so we don't know. It'll be a mystery forever. So back to the boat. We're done for the day. Paradise. Hey everybody, today we painted the center hull. So we got that painted inside and out. Not really, because we had to let this epoxy dry, so we haven't painted this little rear end part. So tomorrow we'll do that, and then we'll be good to go. And that one we painted yesterday, and it turned out dry. And we was able to put some of our stuff in there. Hopefully nothing's sticking. Nope, it's not sticking. That's good. That's amazing, because I didn't know how quickly this paint would dry. But usually, if you put something on paint that's not quite wet, it'll stick. And then you gotta paint it where the sticky part was. So anyway, we got it all painted. Of course, these are our short cross beam supports. These are our long. Hey there, folks. Look what we got. That is a freshly painted boat, my friends. And it is white. We covered the engine. We didn't want to get paint around there, and I did kind of drip a few drops on the engine, I think. But I think I can get it off. But everything else dried pretty nicely. You can see it's super white everywhere, all the way up in there. We didn't paint the mahogany up here because it can get wet via these bolts going through here. Water can get down in there and get those wet, and I didn't want to seal the water in. I wanted the water to dry. So some of this rollers are made of foam, and sometimes the foam breaks off and sticks to the paint. And there was a little spot there, a couple of little spots of foam here, but I can get it off with my fingernail. It's not that dry, but it's kind of glossy. Look at that. Like I said, I'm trying to make it look like gel coat. I know it's not gel coat, but I'm trying to make it look like gel coat as best I can. All the through holes here for the cross beams. So far we got this guy totally painted. This guy, I would say totally painted, but it's not totally painted because we still got to get in these little grooves in here where I got to get a brush, and then these little holes here. Other than that, I think that's it. Yeah, this little slot here where I can't get a brush. And again, the engine, we painted up to kind of the base of it there, and I'm holding the camera kind of weird, but there you go. You can see right up to that engine mount. And the paint is still slightly wet because I just touched it to my shirt, but I'm able to remove this foam with my fingernail because it's soft enough still. So I'm going to do that. But other than that, I think we're looking okay. So this is, when we painted it, we paint just straight enamel. We don't thin it at all. And when the other guys painted it, we left. We went to Battalion and left them with 4 gallons of paint. So far we've used a little more than 1.5 gallons, maybe. 1.5, yeah, 1.5 gallons. And we painted that hole and this hole. And all we got is one more hole to paint. So I don't know how they used 4 gallons. And I mean, the paint was so thin, you could see the other color, which was a pinkish color, and it started to cracking off from the sun burning it. So it was so thin that it was leaking. But anyway, we're looking good here. That's just dust. That's little, oops, that's not. That's a bug or something. Got a bug in there. There we go. All that other stuff comes off. So again, trying to get that gel coat look. So what we have to do now is get all the stuff out of that hole. Normally all the stuff is kind of distributed between all 3 holes that we leave it here at night. The stuff we feel comfortable leaving here. And oh, we also have to paint this back part here. We just had epoxy or kind of clean up the edges yesterday and put that piece in the back there. You might not can see it, but that piece we added to the bottom because we're kind of beefing up all the ends where these big shark fins can, in a rough sea or crazy sea, can start to swing and crack, buckle these sides because they're only 1/4 inch. Well, now they're 5/8 inch, and a load of epoxy be sandwiched in between them. So that should help in a situation like that. So anyway, I guess I better get over there and help her get all the stuff out of that hole so we can get busy painting that. And when we open the paint, I'll probably come back here and paint this area here too. And then we'll be good to go. So we will be back with more bright white boats. Bright white boat. Paradise out.